Hey, Reuben, thanks so much for your time today.
Hey Ben, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, cheers. Hey, before we get into the meaty stuff, what do you like to get up to outside of running New Wave?
For me, I'm actually a very big foodie, so I love to eat anything to do with food. Doing a bit of travel, I will do that before sightseeing for sure. So that's sort of my weekend. We'll go to a nice restaurant, or even not even a nice restaurant, just anything with a good review, and we'll try it out. And yeah, love eating.
Yeah, cool. What's your favorite restaurant locally?
Ah, man, that's hard on the coast, on the Gold Coast. I would say there's a
Mm,
little Japanese restaurant called Itoshin here. It's sort of like a hidden gem.
yeah,
Other than that, there's Rick Shaw's down in Burleigh, which is quite nice. Yeah, but
yeah.
plenty up in Brisbane. There's plenty. We love going up to SK, Hellenica,
All the good ones.
all the good ones. So yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
very,
that's
very
my
good.
vice.
Awesome. And any trips planned now that borders opening up and all that sort of stuff?
We've actually been doing a fair few trips in the last six to 12 months. So
Yep.
we just came back from a trip from Bali. I did two
Ah,
trips there, one with friends, and then one was our annual team trip. So we took our whole team to Bali
sweet.
for about 5 days, which was good, which is
Jeez.
interesting. Um, but yeah, so we did that, and we did a trip back probably a few months ago to the Philippines. I've got a team over there as well, so we've got to see the guys after 2 years and get to get an
Mm.
office that we only saw once before COVID, which was yeah, really good experience getting back there.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
No, very cool. And I guess you've touched on a bit of accounting stuff already, but did you want to sort of walk us through what your background in accounting has been? Maybe some from sort of uni onwards.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm from the Gold Coast, studied at Griffith University. My background was accounting. I obviously did an accounting degree, um, did commerce as well, but accounting is where I fell into. Sort of got into accounting because my brother was doing it, my uncle was doing it at the same time, and just fell into place where they've convinced me that it was a good way to get into business and understand business, which yeah, look, I'm super grateful for. Um, After uni, straight into a job. I went to a little boutique firm here on the Gold Coast. I was there
Mm-hmm.
for about 5 to 6 years. And then that was when the changes were happening with cloud software, Xero, QuickBooks. All of the guys were, starting to press value added services and the changes and everything that was happening. And my firm was very much a traditional firm that I was working at. And that's when I sort of took the leap to try and do it myself.
How
Uh,
good.
yeah, scary, but it was probably the best decision of my life for sure.
Yeah, very good. So, and was there any sort of other decision making that you sort of took into consideration when you started New Wave?
Yeah, money was a big one. Clients,
Yep.
I think those were the two aspects there. I think at that point in time, I had a thought process in my mind where I'm not heavily in debt with any. I had a small little unit, and that's about it. I wasn't
Mm.
heavily in debt. I didn't have kids yet, or don't have kids even at the moment. But at the time, I said, well, if I failed, at least I
Mm.
tried, but I think I could get back into the job that I was in before. So I sort of had a
Yeah.
fallback. That was my thought process. And then I just kept thinking, well, if I don't try now and I see it all happening, then I'm going to kick myself forever for not giving it a go.
Yeah, there you go. And so
Yeah.
you mentioned you got to observe a traditional style firm. What are the ingredients that you had in New Wave that you kind of wanted to test out or try?
Yeah. So the firm that we were at, look, great firm. I learned
Mm.
everything from there, cut my teeth. It was a great experience because I wasn't doing one thing, I was doing everything. It was one of those firms where I would be doing ASIC reports and 484 forms all the way up to, everything basically, which was great. Um, what I saw was that there was it was missing efficiency. It was missing the ability to create a business with structure and scale, and a business that could grow without me. So that's what I felt. It was very much so, so there was so much compliance ingrained into
Mm.
that business itself that it needed to be at the forefront of the accounting practice. I would say 95% of everything they did was compliance, and it was all getting delivered by the directors.
Yeah, the partners in every single meeting delivering.
Correct. Yeah. So, I wanted to see if there was a way that, one, you could grow a practice without the director being at the forefront all the time, and create structures where it's scalable. From
Awesome.
marketing, digital marketing, IT, software, all of those sort of aspects, and put it together like a big web, and see if you can create a beautiful sort of home, and that's what I try to do.
Very good. I think that's definitely a non-traditional approach where the director or the partner, so to speak, isn't at the front line and delivering everything. But so you've gone from literally 0 clients to 600 in the last 6 years since New Wave began. That's awesome, by the way. Well done.
Thank you. Yep.
So what have been some of the strategies, the key ones that, I guess worked well for you over the last 6 years?
Well, over the 6 years, it's been a very big journey and a big learning process. So I don't think there's one key strategy that works, because I am of the understanding that as you're growing now, each stage of your business, you need to sort of pivot and adapt. If there's any sort of strategy, it's, having that awareness that you running the business in the first year by yourself is going to be different to having 3 employees, to having 10 employees, to having 30 or 40 employees, and having all different people and structures. That's what I've learned the most, is that you just got to be willing to adapt and not stick with the one strategy.
Yep.
But I guess from the start, I've learned a few things. It's you can grow a business organically. Would I do it again? Maybe not.
Maybe ask the same question too.
Yes, maybe not. Not because it wasn't achievable, because I think there is so much value in purchasing a book that you can learn from, but also, it's a fairly good investment if you're able to run it right.
For sure.
Investment as well. So, that's one thing that I'd probably change from the start. But I think from there, as you grow, some of the bigger lessons is to have a team that you can rely on, have people that are smarter than you, that can do things better than you within your team to help you grow. You need your policies, procedures, structures, everything internally to be streamlined so that you can scale. And then you need to figure out a process of how to get clients without networking. Yeah,
cool. I think I'd love to kind of dive deep into a few of those different things you mentioned. But maybe we'll kind of start with team, because I think, you hinted that you're not in that front line of delivery. So what does your team structure look like in terms of, let's say, who deals with the client right through to who prepares the job or the work? Yeah.
So we work in pods, basically. So each of our pods are designed with a particular set of clients, support team, bookkeepers. So our general pod would basically look like a senior client manager, someone with a fair few years of experience, 10 years plus, and look, they don't have to have 10 years plus, but obviously the more experience, the better. They would be dealing with our sort of first class clients. They would then have a team underneath them, assistant client manager. They may have 1 or 2 that helps them in learning and in the process of becoming a senior client manager down the track, but they're also talking to clients, but they're sort of also dealing in what we call, and I learned this from Tax Nuggets, what we call our premium economy and, our Jetstar clients. So that's the way we sort of distinguish them at the moment. So they're helping them cut their teeth on it. They're learning the process of communication. They're our front-facing team. We realize that not all accountants want to be front-facing.
Behind
the scenes, we have a supervisor. A supervisor in each team is responsible for training, quality control, reviews.
Awesome.
And then underneath them, they have their team of bookkeepers and accountants who are preparing the actual work itself. They, as a whole, will basically look after a certain size of clients, a set of clients, and then we'll have, and then we have multiple of those, basically.
Yeah, great. Okay. And you mentioned the team in the Philippines. What processes are they involved in when it comes to the delivery side?
Yeah, perfect. So we got a team in the Philippines. At the moment, we've got about 11 over there. They're basically ingrained within the preparation in the team. So, underneath the scene, that supervisor model, they're working with the Australian accountants who are also preparing, compliance work, your BASs. That they do. Some of them are prepping the advisory work now as well, and of course bookkeeping. So they're doing a lot of that, but then the quality control is still held here within Australia to make sure that they're getting trained the right way and they're really ingrained. We don't look at them as an outsourced team. So we've actually created our own company over there, our own resources, and we try to share the culture and have the same culture and have them fit in the team as well. So 10 at 10s in the morning, they're there. Friday meetings, they're there. Every single step of the process, they're part of that pod, basically.
Perfect. Very cool. So you invite them into team meetings and almost have combined Gold Coast and Philippines office meetings.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's great. And while we're kind of touching on the people side of things, the last couple of years has been tough. With retaining good people, attracting them, that sort of thing. Could you give me an insight into what culture looks like at New Wave?
Yeah, so culture is always at the forefront of our mind, and it's something that I've wanted to change since starting. We wanted to have a culture where it was very inclusive, it was very collaborative. At the same time, I wanted to reward people for working hard, but we don't have the culture where, we expect you to work 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. In my mind, if we're doing that, it's either you love doing it or there's something broken in our system, in our procedures or whatever it may be. Culture at New Wave is very much we work as a team, and then we have fun. So that's a big one for us. So we have plenty of perks and we try to be competitive with salary. That's one thing, but our perks, we just continue to develop perks along the way. Like the newest ones we're having are, our work from overseas policy. We've just brought that in, so someone next year is actually going to go away for 6 months, and we have the ability to still have them within the team and working rather than working in a cafe and Whistler. So those sort of things that I think that people are looking for, the flexibility, the ability to progress, the ability to just be heard. And that's sort of what we're promoting. Yeah.
Fantastic. And the Bali retreat, gee, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. And look, everything that we do, it comes at if we meet certain targets, we're very, very much KPI based. And if we meet our targets, then we go, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to go overseas? Not a problem. Let's all work together. And we find that sort of builds collaboration and builds teamwork internally as well. So it's not just one person. We all do it together.
Yeah, awesome. There you go. And you've mentioned also you do more than just the compliance side of things. In fact, I've seen on your website and that sort of thing, there's so many different services that the business offers. Could you walk us through what they are? Yeah.
So we are trying to build a multidisciplinary firm. There are some out there that I look at and I'm like, wow, it's some are bloody amazing, doing everything from marketing to real estate to anything you can think of. At the moment we've got the compliance side, we've got our advisory side in terms of accounting. And then we've also got financial planning, mortgage broking, and insurance broking now. So we're trying to give that sort of holistic approach. In terms of the accounting side, yes, we do our compliance and our tax, but we also are looking very much at sort of aligning the business side with personal goals. So that's very important to us, because I think that's where a lot of accountants are missing the mark, where they're just trying to do everything for their business, but maybe they don't want to do that personally. And what's the point of them doing working that hard if it's not aligned with the goal? So that's something that we're really working on through making sure that, you know, we're structuring everything right. We're catching up. Maybe on a quarterly basis now, just doing some basic advisory where we're looking through the figures, break-even margins, and going, well, does this align with your goals? Is this what we... So we're trying to take it that next step further and go, well, having a business is fine. Growing a business is excellent, but it's not everyone's intention to be, you know, the next Jeff Bezos. Some people want to do it just for lifestyle, and some people want to do it you know, to be multimillionaires, but everyone has a different aspect. So that's what we're trying to build in there, that really holistic approach. So that way we can go, well, here's that financial planner. What are we going to do to get you that place? Because you may not need to work 20 years to do it at the rate that you're going. We may need to realign it. And then we do it that way. So that's sort of our approach at the moment. It's working really well. We work mostly with small businesses, which is the area that I love. But yeah, so not sure if that answered your question, but
yeah, no, for sure. And I guess I think accounting firms who haven't sort of ventured into the additional services might find it a little bit like mind-boggling or complex to approach. But would you be able to walk us through your advisory offering, like how you sort of what you deliver to the clients and the feedback that you're getting?
Yeah, for sure. Look, this is something that we've been testing over time, and I've found that it has to be suited to your firm in terms of its knowledge and capacity. Capacity is the big one that you have to look at first, because it's always out there. All of the app companies are saying, well, you've got to get into advisory. You got to be doing cash flow projections. You got to be doing this, that, and but it's not easily done if you don't have the capacity. Sure. If you're doing compliance 95% of the time, where are you going to find 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week to do the rest and then deliver it? So that's what we found at the start. We tried to dive into, monthly CFO services. Would sit down with the client, we use Fathom, go through some cash flow projections and have a deep dive and, a couple of hours of work. We found that it really hurt our capacity at the time. So then we've continued to build our team structure to make sure that whoever's delivering at the forefront is they're alleviating a lot of the compliance from their hands. Basically, we're trying to take it off their hands. Now, one of our most popular services is actually just a simple quarterly catch-up.
Yep.
It's our basic advisory package. We catch up with the clients, and these are mostly small businesses. And if they want more, we can. We do have a fair few CFO ones as well. But we just go through and have a look at the basics in terms of a simple Fathom report, their break-evens. We're going through their profit and loss cash flow. But then we're going through a lot of questions around what they actually want to do. So a lot of sort of exploration. This is all done within an hour, by the way. So it's very, it's easy to set up and it's easy to deliver. One thing that we found that every client was asking is, well, where are we sitting at right now? What's owing? What's outstanding? What's coming? How much do I need to save?
Yep.
Simple. Very, very simple. Right. And that is the start of any of our clients. When we put them on first, even if they're a big business, we'll start there. And if they want to keep going and grow into more of a coaching sort of side, which is what I'm exploring at the moment, and then we can do that. But even from those quarterly meetings, that's advisory for us. And advisory, I think, can be shifted to a lot of different areas, because advisory is just not looking at, if a financial is doing CFO reporting. I think advisory is anything over and above compliance.
Yep.
Tax planning, restructuring, any of those sort of aspects. But it all comes down to one, capacity, and two, having your staff be able to identify that they need it in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. And that awareness for the team to see that opportunity for the clients.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, so ours, that's what our quarterly looks like.
Yep.
But throughout the year, our guys are always looking for opportunities to restructure or give them a tax planning advice, even if it's not near at the end of the year. They might need some CGT advice or whatever it may be, and they're always looking for those opportunities.
Yeah, great. Awesome. And then thanks for running us through the advisory side. The other one I'd love to ask you about is your financial planning. So how did you approach that? Is that self-licensed or?
We've just become self-licensed.
Awesome.
So I like to test everything at a very small level when I start any business. The MVP approach. That's what I like. So once we've tested it and once we've done it, then we go, okay, let's put some more longer term goals and infrastructure in place. So we've just self-licensed, and it's actually literally today that we're switching over to the self-license.
Congratulations. Jeez.
Yeah. So there's going to be a bit of work in there, but we've got a team of 3 in there at the moment. And yeah, they're doing quite well. So it'll be exciting to see the next sort of 12 months there. We've changed that side up as well.
Yep.
So the traditional, and of course everyone knows this, probably listening, traditional financial planners, they'll push insurance, they'll push sort of different financial packages or whatever it may be. But we're really deep diving into controlling your cash flow and your funds coming in. So nearly every single one of our clients are on some sort of cash flow and budgeting system that we do in the background. So we're putting all the information in. It's sort of like a Xero for financial planners. And yeah, we're just meeting. They're meeting up with them on a monthly, quarterly basis, is going through with them to see if how much they're saving and spending aligns with the goals that they want to do. They may want to get married, or they may want to buy a house or buy a Ferrari or whatever they want to do. We're just trying to make sure that we're actually leading them there.
Yeah, great. And then the team can also look after the investments or insurance or that sort of bits and pieces, but the focus is on actually getting them to or creating that wealth in the first place. Yeah,
and that's right. And then that way we can also align it with all of their debts and payments and ins and outs from their business. Because I think that's one that's a miss, because they're looking at the business, pulling out money, and then they're just forgetting about the bit. So we're trying to put everything together, big puzzle, putting it together. Yeah,
awesome. And I think that's super smart, because I mean, if the personal finance don't talk to the business finance, then you get messes and no one knows what's going on. Do you find actually with the clients, one of them sort of tends towards the business side and one tends towards the personal finances, or is it usually the same spouse, let's say, who covers the whole lot?
No, I would say we find that one is your typical sort of entrepreneur, vision, bigger picture sort of person, and then you'll have one of the partners that's really ingrained in the figures themselves.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Watching it and then making sure that what they're doing, and we find that those couples actually work the best. One's risk averse, one wants to take on the risk, and we balance that out. So it's very similar to my wife and myself. I'm the crazy one. I'm the one who wants to do everything. A bit of probably ADD adds into that, and she's the one that controls it all. So
awesome. Same here actually. And yeah, like I guess what I noticed with financial planners back in the day is that they'd all you'd get a knock on the door every week or two. We probably still do. Hey, we're keen to partner, all that sort of thing. And then when you meet them, they kind of want to meet the clients that have $500,000 or $1 million in cash just spare. And you're like, well, I might have one or two of those every now and again that might walk in the door with $1 million in the bank. But yeah, what really frustrated me about that approach is that that model doesn't help people get wealthy. It just looks after the wealthy people.
The wealthy.
So I really, really love that model that your firm's doing of, well, hang on, let's get right down to the personal cash flow, understand all the levers, tie that into the business tax strategy and the cash flow coming from there. I think that really moves the needle for clients. So really well done. That's very smart.
Thank you. Yeah, well, like you said, it's about changing people's lives. And one of our BHAGs was, create new millionaires, a number of new millionaires, because it's easy enough to get a millionaire and make another million for them because they have that foundation. Yes. But to create a new millionaire takes time, effort, and hard work. And that it's all worth it when you can see someone transition and change their life.
Yeah, yep, fantastic. All righty. Now, in terms of like the accounting industry in general, look, we've seen staff shortages and real intense or difficulty when it comes to recruiting people. What would your tips be to accounting firm owners on what's worked well for you in hiring and retaining team?
Okay, so a couple of things. One is I think you have to be open to having a recruiter by your side. It's at this point in time, it seems like there's no choice. Yep. They somehow are finding people, but have a recruiter that you trust. Build a relationship with them, and really be clear on what you're looking for. Because, of course, in their mind, they will just present a lot of candidates. But if you can at least narrow it down for them and say, well, this is the personality that we're looking for. This is what the seat looks like, and we need the perfect person to fit that seat. Two, show your culture and show what you do on a digital presence, in a sense. People are now wanting to know what you guys do internally. What does it look like? Who are the faces? What do you do over and above other accounting practices that's above the norm? Because people aren't here. They have choice. I think it's an employee's market at the moment. They have choice in where to go, and they're not necessarily looking for money.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And with that, sort of showing them, you're not just saying like physically in the office when they come for the interview, but on your website, like having a really good one. Yeah, speaks to them.
Exactly right. And everything that we do, we want to change the experience from our onboarding to having them in the office in terms of how we do our initial meetings. We send out personality tests, and we really give them that sort of, I guess, understanding that we're different, and this is we're different because of X, Y, and Z. So as much as I think before staff used to try and sell themselves to people, I think that it's two ways now. I think accounting firms need to sell themselves as well as the employee coming in.
For sure, and noted about the recruiter and how necessary they are at the moment. And I think you're right. If we get that hire wrong, then we might have blown 10 grand on a a person that doesn't work out, or maybe more. But I guess we've got to make sure we got that win-win and that two-way interview, which is pretty cool. And I think that's probably one of the things that's caught a lot of maybe more the traditional firms off guard, is just having to play so much catch up from the digital presence to I like how you said that the candidate's not there just to prove themselves, so is the firm. So we've got to move quick to I guess hire the best candidates that are available, or any candidates, depending on where you're based and what's coming in.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a changing environment. And look, who knows what's going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months if migration happens and everything like that. But I don't think you can just rely on that. I think you just have to be ready to pivot and ready to accelerate when you need to. But you can't just be stagnant. You can't just do the same thing anymore. It's a changed environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, are there any other sort of struggles that you're seeing for other firms, or any sort of big ones, or is it really just
I think a lot of firms are going through the phase of transitioning from the hourly model to fee, right? And the biggest problem with that I see, and we have this problem as well, and it's something that we're always trying to improve on, and at the forefront of our mind is out of scope work.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And it just people are wondering, well, why can't they meet targets, or why is it that other firms that are charging hourly are doing so much? It's probably because we're giving away too much free time.
Yep. Agreed. There you go.
Yeah. So it's difficult in the world of fixed fee pricing,
Mm.
but then it's training that staff. So that's one of the problems I'm seeing. And other than that, I think in the industry itself, I think we're getting quite burnt out at
Yeah.
this point in time. Over the last 2 years, probably same for you, we're getting all these new questions that are coming from clients, and they're wanting more and more and more, which is good.
Mm.
But we don't have capacity. We don't have, maybe not even the skill that we needed at the time to do some of the things that we're doing at the moment. But I
Yep.
think that's a big one. And I think that, we need to look after our staff because there is burnout. We need to understand what their limits are, and we need to, as the owners and at the forefront of the accounting industry, be able to say to clients, well, we can't treat our staff like that if they are being like that, or sort of back your clients in any way that your staff in any way that you can, because I think it's changing and it'll continue to develop.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. And what about sort of the reverse of that? What are some of the opportunities that you feel are coming over the next 5 years or so for accountants?
Opportunity wise, I think obviously in the last couple of years, just the ability to take on clients Australia wide. So if you're out west somewhere, there's no reason why you can't get Sydney clients or Melbourne clients or whatever else. Most of our clients at the moment are coming from Melbourne and Sydney. So we're battling against those guys at the moment and taking a bit of market share there, and only because people are open to these type of meetings.
Yeah,
they're open to advice that, as long as we can see and sort of not feel, but can feel the presence of the person that's in front of me with great advice, then why not? That's one side that I think there's a big opportunity. And for those that haven't really obviously taken it on as of yet, technology is always going to be an opportunity in there as well. So, just the efficiency gains of the way you structure the apps and software within your business can be a really big game changer. And I think that with the lack of supply of employees, I think we've got to be smarter and work smarter, not harder, in a sense.
Yeah, and I think technology can really take, even in the early days of Inspire, I kind of felt like we relied on an admin team because there was so many things that our technology did for us. Are there any standout apps that you'd like to give a shout out to?
So at the moment, we got a massive app stack, and one of the things that I hope that it gets fixed in the years is that we can condense that. Yeah, but unfortunately, we can't at the moment. We're using Carbon. Carbon is a beast of a program, and the implementation it took a fair while to implement what we wanted it to do. They're about to come out with a lot of analytics now, which was what it was missing at the time.
Yes.
And so hopefully a lot of that data-driven sort of analytics is coming through in the next few months, and we're going to get a very clear understanding of write-offs, WIPs, and all those sort of aspects that we couldn't get before. We're using Ignition at the moment just to systemize our payment system. And then we've got we're actually using Change GPS, which is another Brisbane app at the moment, working with them quite closely and using a lot of their back end. So I'd say those three have really assisted us to grow and scale. But there are plenty others out there that we're using to help us get to where we want to be.
Yeah, awesome. I think I documented ours the other day. There's probably about 20 different software invitations we send out to a new starter.
Yeah,
it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy, and then the app costs as well. It's getting higher and higher, and I think it's going to get to a point where, I was talking to a few bigger firms, and they're really looking at creating their own in-house software. To replace some of these, and why not? If you control it, you own it, then why not?
That's an interesting thought that we've actually been considering, because we actually use Carbon as well and Ignition. But what we're kind of borderlining on, like from a client experience perspective, not one thing does everything for us. And that might be an unrealistic expectation. But from a client's perspective, if they're getting like document signing and interacting with us on like 5 platforms, I think that's a bit overwhelming for them.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
That's interesting that other firms are feeling the same way of that internal software development, and even the possibility of getting R&D concessions for that. So
exactly,
the goodie.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe it's one of those ones where the apps have power now, but down the track, people will start creating their own. There'll be a bit more competition out there, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. There you go. And maybe my last question before we finish up is, who are some of the accounting industry thought leaders, and maybe we can add in other business leaders that are inspirational to you?
Yeah. Okay. Accounting side. So I one of the catalysts that made me jump and do my own was Rob Nixon. So Rob Nixon was one of those sort of at the time, already looking at the stuff that we're talking about now.
Yep.
His books were quite years ahead of its time, I think. And that's what really sort of pushed me over the line. I listened to a lot of the ex-CEO of Intuit, Brad Cook, and he's very good, just a bit of inspiration in there. But in terms of other accounting people who are willing to share their thoughts and ideas, Ed Chan is taught us as well. I've learned a lot of his structure and implemented it into our systems, and just an absolute beast. He's a weapon, and just a lot of. I've taken a lot of time to learn and try and figure out how he thinks and operates. Outside of the accounting world, I would say Tony Robbins. He's one for me that I follow, not from a spiritual sort of perspective, but just the business, like the business side, the way he operates, the thought behind it, the meaning behind why we're doing business in the first instance. I'm a really big fan of him.
Yeah, fantastic. There you go. There's some heavy hitters. That's awesome. All righty. Well, hey, really thank you for your time today, Reuben. Really enjoyed the chat, and it honestly feels like there's so many similarities between Inspire and New Wave. It's it's pretty cool. But thanks again for sharing your knowledge and your journey, mate.
No worries. Thanks so much, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cheers.